Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make my Jack Skellington face. And we're not doing the whole body because I think that if we did, it would actually be extremely top heavy, and that would be a bit of a problem. But it would work as a head for the Izzy Busy doll. If you were doing the Izzy Busy doll, we probably need to be a bit smaller. But it would work if you were to use it as a head for a doll such as that. But I'm just doing it like this. Now, I did two different kinds of mouth, and the general consensus in my family was that this mouth, which is a little bit more fiddly, is the better of the two. And we're going to do the nose not like this, which I wasn't very happy with, but we are going to do it like this. So this is a combination of both of the designs that I've made for this, but we are going to get started. We're going to do a magic ring. Again, you don't need to use your loom. If you do have a loom and you want to do it on your loom, absolutely fine. If you do your magic ring on your hook, that's fine too. It's completely up to you. It's going to be a magic ring of 6. Now, I'm using the Rainbow Loom Glow in the Dark bands. It looks really effective, so I'm using those. I'm going to count out 2, 4, 6 and 1 for around my peg, and let's wrap that one round twice and do our magic ring. The other thing you're going to need is a stitch marker. Now, if you've not done Loomigurumi before, please check out my beginner's guide to Loomigurumi. I also have a playlist full of all the different stitches and tips and tricks that might be helpful to you. I will link that in the video and in the description. So to do our magic ring, take your first band, pull it through the loop that you have on your peg, reclaim one over the other and budge around. And the beginner's guide and the playlist of all the different stitches will show you how to do this very slowly and very precisely in close-up mode. Okay. This is number 4, number 5, and number 6. You're going to take this off your loom and squidge those around so that they are evenly spaced. Now, this is our first stitch here, not this little bit here, this little bit here. Okay, we're going to go through that, and we're going to do an increase, which means you're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch, which is going to increase our size from 6 to 12. So let's do our first pair. The first one, single crochet, and you're going to put your stitch marker on that, and that indicates where we're starting. Go back through that first stitch and do your second single crochet, and then in each subsequent stitch we will do 2 single crochets, which is our increase. So you have now gone from having 6 stitches to 12 stitches. Now, if you don't have a stitch marker like mine, you can use an S clip or a C clip, safety pin, paper clip, all those things work. Now our next round is going to be a single crochet followed by an increase. So go through your first stitch, make sure you go through both loops and do your single crochet, move your stitch marker, and now we do an increase. And a single crochet. And an increase. Single crochet and an increase, single crochet and an increase. So you've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18 is on your hook. Our next round is going to be, I'm going to take a pencil so I know exactly where we're at, 2 single crochets followed by an increase. So here's number 1, and let's move our stitch marker, 2, and then in this third stitch we do our increase. And then we count again. 1, 2, and an increase. 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 1, 2, and an increase, and you should now have 24 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. Our next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and then we're going to do 4 single crochets and an increase for the round after. So let's do 3 single crochets all the way around, or 3 single crochets and an increase, and then the following round 4 single crochets and an increase, and I will meet you back after we've finished our round of 4 single crochets and an increase. So now the fun begins. I've finished my previous round, which was 4 single crochets plus an increase. Now we're going to start working on some of the eyes and the black parts of this creation. We need to do some counting. So this is going to be our first stitch, and we're still working in white. So this is number 1. It's still single crochets, no increases. We're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now our 9th one is going to be black, and we have to do a colour change, so it's a slip stitch. So put your little white loop on and do your slip stitch. That's 9, and 10 is going to be black as well. And then, so that's just a normal single crochet, and then we go back to white. So again, it's a slip stitch. Move your black band on, do a slip stitch. Now we have to count 8 between the next time we do black. So this is one white, 2 whites, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we change to black again. Colour change, so you're doing a slip stitch, 1 and a single crochet, and now back to white again. So again, slip stitch because you're doing a colour change. And now we do single crochet all the way to our stitch marker again. Oops. And we're back to the beginning. All right. So we're going to go around again, white for our first stitch. Change your stitch marker, and you're going to start your black bands 2 stitches prior to where we started these previous rounds. One, so all the way. So these are the 2 that we're going to do. So this is the last one. So now we go through this one, okay, with a black band, do a colour change, so it's a slip stitch, and this one is black single crochet. Now this one we have the slip stitch here, which we're going to ignore and go through the black stitch next to it. And here's our next black stitch. Now next to that is the colour change, which is the slip stitch, which we ignore. Okay, but we are going to do another, so ignore this one, another black stitch right here. Okay, and now we're going to change to white, which is a colour change, so it's a slip stitch. Alright, now this side we did 1 extra from this side, so we're going to stop here and change that to black. So we're going to go, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in white, and then that leaves us 1 white stitch here, so we're going to change that to black. It's a colour change, so it's going to be a slip stitch, and then we skip that little slip stitch here and go through the stitch itself. So we do these 2 that are black in black, 1 and 2. We skip the slip stitch that we see here. See, it's at an angle, it's where the colour changes, but we go into here and we do 2 in black. So there's 1 and 2. Colour change to white, so it's a slip stitch, and we do white until we get to our stitch marker again. So do my last stitch in white. Again, this next stitch we're going to do again the same. We're going to do some black stitches in it. Now this time we're going to do exactly the same starting from this point, but we're going to go one in extra either side here. Okay, so we'll do our first stitch in white. Move your stitch marker. Now, if we go in here, it's going to be out further. Alright, so I'm going to do this as white because that stitch was white. And then I'm going to do my colour change in this black stitch. And we skip this little one here because that's our colour change in the previous one, which is a slip stitch. And we do the same like that. So we do black, 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 black. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one more. Skip the slip stitch and go into this stitch here. Black. Now we colour change to white. So it's a slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do a colour change and change to black. So we've done one, we've done 1, 2, 3 in the centre here. Now we'll change to black in this one. Oops, get the right colour band, Kate. Slip stitch. We're going to do black here. That's a slip stitch, so we go in through this black stitch. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is a slip stitch here, but this is a stitch that I need to go through, and I'm going to go through this with white and colour change. Ignore the slip stitch and go through this one and do white until I get to the end of this round. Again, we're going to be in white. Move your stitch marker. Have a look at these. These are the eyes. Okay. So move around with white. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 is all the white area. Skip the slip stitch, come in here. Now at this time, this is the end, we're just moving one extra in, okay, and these are going to be 3 black bands. So slip stitch to change colour, 1, 2, 3, change to white, slip stitch because you're changing colour, and then this is a white. Skip the slip stitch, come into this first little stitch here. Again, we're going to do skip the slip stitch, coming into the real stitch here beside it. Okay, so we've actually come in 2 from this side. Okay, so again we're going to go white and white. This was a colour change, so that's the slip stitch, so we ignore it and go into the first black stitch. 1 and 2. Now we're going to change to black for the next 3. Colour change, so do a slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, change to white, go through your black stitch, grab your white band, do a slip stitch. You have a slip stitch here that we're ignoring and going into this white one, and we do white all the way around to the stitch marker again. Now in our next round we're going to be doing all white except 2 little black bands in the middle between his eyes, which are going to indicate his nose. So let me put my first stitch in and I'll change my stitch marker to that band, and we're going to just mark where we want his nose to be. Okay, so I'm going to say we'll have 1 nostril here, and I'm going to put a marker band there, and we'll have the other nostril. We're going to have a band between them, like a white band between them. So the other nostril will be here. So it's black, white, black. Okay, and that's how we're going to do that. So putting your hook back through, we're doing white all the way until we get to that first marker band. And then it's a slip stitch, black band, slip stitch. It gets a bit busy. Now if you remember, we have a colour change here. We go through our white. The first black after it is a slip stitch, so this is our stitch here. And then there's another colour change there. This is our last black band, and there's a white slip stitch. Then we go white. And there's our first marker band. So we're going to do a slip stitch with this. Then we have a white band here, which is a colour change again, so we have to do another slip stitch. Let's put the black band on there. Another slip stitch and another slip stitch because of the black. So there's 3 slip stitch, well 4, because we've got to do another slip stitch here to change back into white. Okay, so that's how we're going to do that. And now we do white all the way around. Just be careful of these slip stitches here. So we've got 1 and 2. That's the last white. Here's our slip stitch. So go into the black stitch next to it. This is our last black band. As you can see, there is a white slip stitch there, so ignore it and go into the stitch next to it. And around we go. Oopsie. Bit over enthusiastic there. Back to my first stitch now. So in this round, again, we're going to do white, but we're going to start doing the mouth. So I'm going to mark, if this is where my eye ends, I'm going to just pop down here. So it's one stitch over from where my eye ends to where my mouth is going to start, which is there. And then on the other side, here's where my eye ends. I'm going to go to the other side and put a black band here, one over from where that band would be. Okay, so let's go into our first stitch. It's number 1, and I'm busy unraveling everything. Change your stitch marker to that stitch. 2, 3. Now stitch number 4 has our stitch marker on, so we're going to unravel it and do a slip stitch. And then the next one is white, and it's going to be a slip stitch again because of the colour change. Okay, and now we do white until we get to this one over here. Now we do have some fancy footwork because we've got the nose ahead of us where we have all our colour changes. Just remember, you've got your last white here, and then there's a colour change. So the first one after your last white is a slip stitch. This is your real stitch. Go through and do a single crochet in white. This is a colour change. The first stitch after the black is a slip stitch, so go into that white stitch after it. And do your do your single crochet. Here's your black slip stitch, go into your black stitch. And one more time. There's your black band with your white slip stitch, and here's your white stitch. It's always going to be the stitch after your colour change. Now here we go for another colour change for this side of the mouth. Again, it's a slip stitch followed by a white slip stitch to change the colour back to white, and then do white till you get to your stitch marker. Oops. Okay, back to the beginning here. Go through your first stitch, move your stitch marker. Now, what we're going to do is draw the mouth with our little stitches here. So obviously the mouth is going to go forward. If I can get my stitch marker out of the way, that would be nice. There we go. Nope, there we go. So go through this next stitch up to the black stitch. Now what we want to do, skip the slip stitch, go into the black stitch, pull your black band through. You're going to have to do a slip stitch again because we're changing colour, and pull it through. Now we're going to have to do a slip stitch again for white, so skip that slip stitch and go into the next one. It's going to be a slip stitch because you're changing colour. Okay, see how it's coming down like this? Then we're going to do single crochet in white until we get to the other side of our mouth. It's a little bit fiddly, isn't it? Now because we're doing it this way and we want the mouth to come this way to the right, we have to go through this stitch here as our black band. Okay, so the white before it. Pull it through into a slip stitch like so, and then this becomes the white band. And again you're going to have to slip stitch it. So in, join the black loop to it and slip stitch. See how that's pulled that in? And then again, miss the slip stitch, come into your real stitch here beside it, and we single crochet in white around to our stitch marker. Our next round, first stitch, move your stitch marker, second stitch, third stitch. Now we're going to go into the black stitch, do a slip stitch with our black, skip that white slip stitch and go into the white stitch. Again, a slip stitch here with your white because you're changing colour, and around we go till we get to the other side of the mouth. Again with this one, you're going to go in through the white stitch prior to the black. So this is my last stitch in white. In this stitch, which is white, I'm going to go in with the black band and do my slip stitch. This is a slip stitch, so this black stitch here is my next stitch. I'm going in with a white and doing another slip stitch. There's a slip stitch, so I have to go into the next stitch with white. Okay, so this is how we're doing it. And then again, all the way around with white until we get to our stitch marker. Now this time we are going to drop our white bands. I'm going to do black across the whole length of the mouth. So first stitch, move your stitch marker. Second stitch is white. Third stitch is white. This next stitch is a slip stitch, so go in through your black. Slip stitch. This is a slip stitch, so go into your next white. And we're doing black all the way across until we reach the other side with black. So I'm at the end here. This is my last white stitch. I'm going to go through. And now I'm going to skip. This is my slip stitch. I'm going in through my black stitch here with a white band and changing my colour. So do a slip stitch. There's a slip stitch here, so I go next to it in my real stitch. Again, white, single crochet, and then we do single crochet all the way until we get to the stitch marker. I'm going to put these black bands back. I will need them again, but not really to do any stitches per se. We're going to be snipping them and tying them in knots. Whoopsie. And move your stitch marker. So this is it so far. As you can see, we have the black. Now, when I did this one, okay, what I had sort of done was go in through the row above like this, and then as I did my next round, I stitched these in like this, and the family have said, nope, doesn't look good, we're going to have to do it as single snips and tie them. So they didn't like this way. So our next round is going to be completely single crochet in white. You have two slip stitches to worry about on either side of the mouth. So this is our first one. Here's your color change, so you skip that black and go into this one. Come back here, you. There we go. All the way around again until we get to the other side of the mouth. Okay, through my last black stitch, then the stitch after it is a slip stitch, this little white one here, so I go in through the next one. Okay, you should be good at these now. And all the way around until we get to the stitch marker again. So now we have an even playing field again with no slip stitches to deal with. Okay, we just got our white bands. And what we're going to start to do now is our decreasing. Now if you remember, we went from a single crochet and an increase all the way up to 4 single crochets and an increase. So we're going to start with 4 single crochets and a decrease. Okay, so let's do our first round. 4 single crochets and a decrease. That was our first stitch. 2, 3, 4, and the decrease I'm going to go through the outside loop of stitch 5 and 6, okay, and bring those together like so. And then we count another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and again go through the outside loop only of those next 2 stitches and draw them in together for a decrease, and count out 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and our decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. As I mentioned, the next round is going to be 3 and a decrease, then 2 and a decrease, and then 1 and a decrease. So this is my round 4 and a decrease. I want you to do an entire round of 3 and a decrease, then an entire round of 2 and a decrease, and an entire round of 1 and a decrease. And I will meet you back then when we have all done our round of 1 and a decrease. Well, I'm back. Hopefully you are too. This is my last stitch. I'm going to go through this first stitch and do a single crochet with white and move my stitch marker to it. And I'm just going to pop this stitch marker on one of these bands up here, just to keep it safe. Now please note, we have not stuffed it as yet, okay? We need to do some eyebrows, and we also need, and you don't have to, we also need to do the stitching between the lips here, okay? So what we're going to do, you need some scissors and some black bands, and you need to be able to tie knots, which is really funny because I'm really awful at tying knots. So I've taken a black band and I've cut it. I've just snipped one side of it so that it's a long piece of elastic. What you're going to do is work out exactly where you want your bands to be. So I'm going to go, if you see where we've got this little bit here, I'm going to go one spot above it, up here to about here. All right, and I'm going to hold one side. I'm going to loop my band like this, and as I pull it through, I'm going to let go of one side and hold the other, so it's like this. Now this might take a bit of fiddling around. You might decide you want it to be a little bit further up. You might want it at this spot, and if you do, pull it up to this spot, facing you, so that you know these two little parts are facing you, not inside the head. Stretch them out, and you're just going to tie a knot. And as everybody knows that follows my channel, I am useless at tying knots. Now when you tighten it, I've got to it like this, and I'm tightening it like that. Pull it a little bit so that these little ends get smaller, okay? And then what you're going to do, you can just turn this, pull it so that the end that is tied goes through and is sitting on the inside of the head. Okay, so there it is on the inside of the head, and you can just twist this around. Alright, and this is how we're going to do our eyebrows and also the stitches between the mouth. So it's quite a lot of tying. So again, I went through this one and I came up through the one by the top here. This is my highest band, so it probably is about here. So again, I'm going to hold it, pinch it like this, pull it through and let go of one side. Stretch it out and tie in a knot. Pull this together like that. That makes it easier to tie the knot. And again, twist this round so that the knot ends up inside the face. So that's the eyebrows. I'm going to do the same for the mouth. Now you can put as many or as few as you want around the mouth. Again, I'm going to pinch the two sides that I cut. I'm going to pinch those together, put my hook up here, and I'm going to start probably about here. So I'm going to pull it through, and I probably want it to come out about there. So what I'm going to do, go through this side and come out this side. This is where I want this to be. I'm going to put my hook, my band, on the end of my hook like this, and pull it through and let go. Whoop, and let go of the whole lot. Let's try that again. Pull through and let go of one side like that. Now if I want that a little bit lower, again, pull it through the spot that you want it to be at. So I want mine to be about here, and we will tie it in. We will try and tie it in a knot. Okay, before it gets too tight, I'm going to put my hook under, hold one end and pull that tight like that. Okay, and then I'm going to again twist this round so that the knot part is inside my little head. There we go. And that is how I do the stitching along the mouth. So you do yours, I'll do mine, and we'll see how we end up looking. Little thing, come on, pull one side and the other goes. There we go, pop through. I might do two more maybe. Oops. One more here. Oopsie. Try that one again. Now pull that tight, pull through, nope, bit enthusiastic of a pull there, Kate. There we go. So that is our mouth. Now let's stuff. Let's stuff. I'm using the polyfill, 100% polyfill. You can use cotton wool, you can use tissues, toilet paper, plastic bags. This is toy stuffing. One lady had her husband's pillow and was busy taking bits of his pillow out and he didn't even notice. And the trick when you're doing this is you don't want to overstuff, but in the same instance you don't want to make it understuffed. If you overstuff, the stitches will pull apart and you'll see your stuffing and it looks nasty. But you do want it to be nicely stuffed to form the shape of what you're trying to make. So trial and error. You can always put a bit too much in and take it out, is what I think. So let's try that. There we go. Looks a bit more like him, I think. Let's get rid of that stuffing. Now we're going to close off, and all we're going to do is decreases. So go put your hook back through. You can probably take this off now, and when I do the final decreases I do go through both the loops, not just the outside loop. I go through both. I think it just makes it a stronger closure. For some reason my phone is going a bit bonkers today. And we'll do one last one here. And then we'll close off by doing a little slip knot here. One over the other, pull it nice and tight, and then tuck that loose band, that little tie-off band, inside the ball. Like so, and you can just push that back in. Nobody will notice it's there. There we go. There is our little Jack Skellington's face. It's a little bigger than the one I made before, just a bit odd. Used the same amount of stitches and bands, but things come out a bit differently. I think also I used white bands on this and I used glow bands on this, so it could be the difference in that. Could be how much stuffing I've got put in, but I think that's really cute. So, I hope you have fun. Take care. Bye.